house sitting for my friend in Atlanta, and behind me is Highway 20. If you are familiar, it's a busy highway. There are cars going all day. And I find the rhythm of the highway to be quite beautiful. It's quite white noise. And one of my followers on Instagram reminded me, because they too were a caregiver, that it kind of has the sound of a ventilator. And I so agree. And it got me thinking about rhythms, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to sleep. Although, when you're inside and the doors are closed, the sound isn't quite as loud, but it's still there. You still hear the highway. And I was curious if I would sleep. Seeing as I've been 4 years in the mountains where I'm surrounded by crickets, I was so surprised that I was just lulled to sleep. I literally found such peacefulness in the rhythm, and I slept amazingly. And I am loving being in the city. I was having a conversation with my friend about, yes, I have the propensity to have to get a little overstimulated here, especially in traffic. I'm having to give myself a little bit of space around being comfortable driving here still. But other than that, I am loving the rhythm of the city. I am loving the way in which I go to a workspace and I just see everyone in a flow. And I said to her, I felt very stuck in the mountains. I had so many creative projects, but I couldn't find a flow. And she suggested that maybe I was understimulated in the mountains. And there's the perfect amount of stimulation for me here in the city. And it got me really thinking about rhythms and flow. And it made me realize we all have our own rhythms. We have our own heartbeat. We have our own times of the day that we feel more energized. Nature has its own rhythms. And it's something that I've been very intentionally living in alignment with. I honor each season change. I celebrate spring and winter solstice. I celebrate the fall and spring equinox. I honor what the seasons are bringing. And I live by the moon. I love to honor the meanings of a full moon and a new moon, and watching birds and the rhythm their wings make, and watching the way a leaf blows in the wind, especially when it's casting a shadow on the wall. There are rhythms everywhere. Think about a conversation that just has a good flow, where the communication is just freely coming out. Nothing is forced. There's a vibe. There's a rhythm. The more we start to be in tune with what rhythms we resonate with, I think the more we can find ourselves in the right spaces. And apparently, the rhythm of the city is my jam. I've been really putting a lot more work into my dreams since being back into the city. I feel way less stuck. I've been releasing things. I've been creating things. And I've been creating things without this need for the external validation. And that's because I'm in tune with my rhythm at the moment. And I understand that when I am living in my rhythm and my frequency, then I'm going to be tapping into the right people. I just have to be patient and trust and keep doing what I'm doing and keep showing up true to myself in my own voice and my own rhythm. There's a lot of ways to tap into rhythm when you're trying to access a flow state. Sometimes it's breath work. Just think about how you can control the rhythm of your breathing. Walking, and you can control the pace of your walking. Humming, turning on music, especially if there's like a beat and you just get into a rhythm. A lot of times when I'm trying to get into a work focused flow, I turn on lo-fi, and something about it just taps into my brain. The other thing that has a rhythm are our thoughts. So I am going to be doing my very first speaking engagement with a group of caregivers this week, which I'm very thankful for the opportunity. And I was thinking about what to say. They wanted it to come from a place of a therapist, but also to make sure I include some of my personal experience. A lot of times as a caregiver, one of the biggest things I needed to work on was my thoughts, because I had this all or nothing thinking. If I didn't show up 100% in my day as hopeful and positive and my best self and got every single detail of caregiving right, then that day was a failure. And that was such harmful thinking for me. I had to allow myself a new rhythm of, you know what? You showed up the best you could with what you had that day. And why aren't we celebrating that? At least you showed up. So I'm really thinking about the way our thoughts create rhythm. And there's a lot of way in which we can change negative thought patterns into something more positive to create a better rhythm in our lives. If life is really all about this rhythm consciousness, then becoming aware of your own rhythms will be one of the most important things to be able to then find your flow states and find your happy rhythm. Another thing about rhythm that I really like is to trust the timing and trust your timing. Each thing that we are trying to create in life has its own unique timing. And, I just put my first class out, and in my dream world, that class would have had 200 people subscribe the very next day. But I also have to trust that there is this need to reach the right people and to find the right rhythm and to find the right timing. And there's something about just trusting the timing that helps you come with an ease of just understanding that I'm confident in what I put out, and I'm confident that the right people will be pulled to it. Another thing that reminds me of rhythm is your intuition. Think about that just feeling you get in your gut where you just know. Where you know your friend needs you, or you know that you need to follow a calling you're being told, or something just doesn't feel right about this person, or something feels really right about this person. Our intuitions are tapped into our own rhythms. And so the more we actually are sitting and creating rhythms intentionally and paying attention to our rhythms. And what do I mean by creating rhythms intentionally? Having daily practices, getting out of bed and doing something other than looking at your phone. For me, if that is my rhythm of the day, it's a much better day than if the first thing I do is look at my phone. If I try to stretch, move my body, have a dance party, meditate, journal, anything other than looking at my phone the first point of the day, I'm in a better rhythm my whole day. So think about, what can you do to change your rhythms? What are your rhythms currently? Are they working for you? Could you change some of them? What rhythms are you craving? Do you need some city time? Do you need some action? Do you need to be where the people are? Do you need to go dancing? Do you need to breathe? Do you need to be more active and move your body? Do you need more stillness? Only you know. Period. Do not allow me to tell you. Do not allow anyone else on the internet to tell you what you need. Please tap into your inner rhythm, your intuition, your inner being, and ask, what do I need? I'm happy to say my happy rhythm happens to be in the city, and it's all happening.